So to farm out inmates to other counties, I'm looking at a minimum of 6 to 7 different counties from the top of the Panhandle down to Scurry County, which is Snyder, Andrews, Gang County, all throughout there, which is going to create a problem financially in my budget for fuel. I'll have people on the road constantly if they're not going to allow us to do Zoom hearings in their jail. We'll have to go get them, bring them back for a Zoom hearing, and then take them back. And I know we've talked about this, and I know it's a huge expense, but it's something we can't overlook anymore. We're going to have to sit down and take a long, hard look at it. And Hale County is never going to get away from a jail. We're too big, we're too populated, we've got to have a jail, and we're getting to that point. This leak that we have right now is under the slab. They believe they have it pinpointed. They were out there till about 7 last night. But Harold talked to one of the commissioners that built that jail. There are high cables.
When they built the jail, I talked to James Belk. I called him because he was our commissioner when they built it. There's high tensile cables stretched under that concrete. It's like a reinforcing rod. There is also piers that have been poured in certain spots through that old jail where they had to put it in there to shore up the dirt and the foundation underneath it. And the thing about those high tensile cables, they're stretched to, I don't know what all.
Something like 33,000
something.
PSI.
Yeah, there's about.
And when the plumber found out last night, it is Joe Rushing out of Lubbock. We talked about it. I said, yeah, one of the commissioners found out that there is, he said, I've dealt with that in Lubbock. He said, if one of my guys cuts that line while he's busting concrete, that cable is stretched so tight, it will rip up out of the concrete, and anything in its path is going to die.
Somebody's gonna die
gosh.
with that cable coming across there. Yeah.
What we're looking at now is we're trying to pinpoint which. We've got the whole pinpointing thing, or close to it. We're trying to figure out which line it is to cut the line, go up and over in the roof, and then come back down and tie back on, so we do not have to dig out into the concrete.
So is it a water line or a drain?
It's a hot water line.
Hot water line,
And
so we could abandon it and come up with.
There's 3 lines. So right now, what we're trying to figure out to make sure which line it is, clip it, find out where it comes out at, clip it there, and then run a new line to it. Just to give you kind of a ballpark figure, most jails right now, I have contracts with lots of jails. We contract with everybody because you never know what kind of situation you're gonna get in. Most jails are charging $65 a day for an inmate. If I had to house 45 inmates in another county, which it's gonna be spread out, so you're looking at about $3,800 a day. You're looking at about $99,000 a month, and in a year's time, you're looking at a little over $1 million to house inmates at another facility. That's not including the medical that we will still absorb, because they are not gonna pay for our medical. If we have a medical nightmare that has to go to the hospital, I have to send 2 officers up there to sit with them. My fuel cost is gonna go skyrocketing, picking these people up and bringing them back from court. That's just 45 inmates. Right now, we're running about 120 inmates. So it could go up from there.
I think we all know the need of this. I mean, it ain't nothing we.
Well, and David, has tried, and it's a huge expense. It's a huge undertaking. I understand that. But I think we're at the point right now, we're we're fixing to have to do something, or you're gonna build a jail, and you're gonna build it twice. Once to house the inmates somewhere else, and once to build a jail. That's,
Me and the sheriff and the judge had this conversation, what, a month and a half, 2 months ago, and kind of off and on, that it's time to quit kicking the can down the road. We're fixing to have to,
We gotta do something.
we can build a jail and pay for it one time, or we can continue like it is. We're doing our best to get it done and get it fixed and at the least amount of cost. But at some point, it's like the new jail. It was built in 91. We had to dig a drain out. Do not remember who built that jail, not kicking names or anything. But you had the grate in the floor. We had to cut a big hole out. It was a grate in the PVC pipe, down to a cast iron elbow, and back into PVC pipe. And if you know anything about plumbing, the cast iron elbow was rotted out. Why would you go with, some plumber had these left over and thought, oh, we're gonna stick them in here and save some money.
exactly what happened.
And every drain out there, I guarantee you, is gonna be the same way.
Yeah.
To fix that drain was $3,600. I had to run 6 inmates to Lubbock for 2 or 3 days. That bill was $6,000. Lubbock charges a little bit more than everybody else. They can get by with that because they have an infirmary and they charge like $72 a day. So most everybody else is somewhere around 60, 65. And if you're in a bind, they may work with you a little bit, but it's gonna be a huge cost to start farming these people out.
Yeah.
And I may have to today. I've gotta go talk to my inspector. I'm hoping he lets me get through the weekend and get a plumber back out here. Thing is, these plumbers are backed up. But,
Like everybody.
he said he'll try to come back out here tomorrow, but he doesn't know that he can. And this is not something any plumber can do. I mean, he's got specialized equipment to run that pinhole or that hole, and he's got equipment to run that line, to find out where that line pops out at, so we can clip it. That's where it's at.
All right. Now that we're all thoroughly depressed, let's move on. All right, next is county clerk, and she's on here for order for special election, I imagine it's Weasel.
Yeah, that'll be for the May election.
And Constable Timms will be here for an annual racial profiling report that they do every year, each department, sheriff, and everybody. So that concludes what's on the bill for Monday. It is
10:49.
10:49, Monday, February 25th, or Friday, February the 25th. I would like to call this work session to a close.